Good afternoon. My name is Sherry Spellwoman, and my educational research proposal is entitled Elementary School Students' Perspectives on Mindfulness-Based Interventions. Elementary school students suffer from mental disorders. They include ADHD, anxiety problems, behavior problems, and depression. Children with symptoms of high stress and anxiety demonstrate social withdrawal, lower academic achievement, and negative symptoms that persist into adulthood, compromising their abilities to function in daily life. Due to the rising numbers of mental disorders in students, many schools have implemented mindfulness-based interventions, or MBIs, to mitigate these symptoms. There have been numerous studies conducted in recent years demonstrating that MBIs in schools improve cognitive skills and classroom behavior. However, most of the studies have focused only on teacher and parent feedback, so this study will investigate the opinions, reflections, and perspectives of the elementary school students themselves who are participating in MBIs. As this research will be qualitative, the questions may change or new ones may appear as the study progresses, so I will explore the following initial questions, but also be open to amendments. 1. How do elementary school students feel about various MBIs? What do they like and dislike? How do they rate various MBIs from most favorite to least favorite? 2. How do students describe their personal experiences of these MBIs? 3. Do students prefer to have MBIs taught by their regular teachers or outside teachers? 4. What time of day do students prefer to practice MBIs? 5. Do students prefer longer, less frequent exercises, such as 15 minutes twice a week, or shorter, more frequent MBIs, such as 2-minute exercises 3 times a day, or a combination of both? Some hypotheses I have formulated include 1. Students will have positive feelings in general about MBIs. While favorite types of MBIs will vary between students depending on age, gender, and personality, favorite activities will be game-based, movement-based, or include clear, age-appropriate visualizations. 2. Reports of students' personal experience will vary widely, depending on the types of MBIs, the personalities of the students, the skill levels of the instructors, and the rapport between instructors and students. 3. Most students will prefer to learn MBIs from their classroom teachers because they already have an established relationship with them. However, some students will prefer the novelty of a new instructor. 4. Since many students are tired at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, most students will prefer to engage in MBI activities during the middle of the day when they have the most energy. And 5, younger students have shorter attention spans and will prefer the shorter MBIs to longer ones. Older elementary school students may have the ability to focus longer on MBIs. However, they will also prefer shorter, more frequent MBIs. I have reviewed the relevant literature, including a study by Albrecht and Cohen on mindfulness in schools. This study examines other studies on students to address the question, what are students' perspectives on learning mindfulness in school? This study is rooted in various wellness theories. It includes qualitative data, such as interviews, illustrations, journals, questionnaires, mood inventories, and happiness scale questionnaires. The results of this study indicate that MBIs benefit the whole child. It relates to my study directly as it investigates how students feel about the effects of MBIs. I also reviewed the Mindfulness Schools research on mindfulness. They have a website that details their study of the efficacy and sustainability of MBIs. They use the Kinder Associates Behavior Rubric Theory to measure the effects of mindfulness practices. In their study, quantitative data was collected from teachers and students to assess child behavior, attention, mindfulness, as well as teacher well-being. The results of this study demonstrated significant improvement in 3 of their 4 categories, and positive effects were shown to be amplified for boys. This study relates to my topic about the effects of mindfulness practices in schools on students, how students feel about them, and their effect on student anxiety levels. I also reviewed a paper published that examines emotional regulation in elementary students and MBIs for students suffering from anxiety. This paper addresses theories of common emotional symptoms of anxiety. The data examined included multiple peer-reviewed articles, studies, online resources, and academic papers. The results of these studies show that 7.1% of children aged 3 to 17 years old had a current diagnosis of anxiety, that children with high anxiety are more likely to withdraw from learning and social interaction and demonstrate lower academic performances. It also demonstrated that MBIs show promise in alleviating student anxiety. It relates to my study because it addresses issues of anxiety in students and the effects of MBIs. My study will involve elementary school students in grades K through 5. They will participate in various types of mindfulness practices and exercises. Qualitative research is designed to gain insight into situation and behaviors, including the experiences and perspectives of its participants. The various types of MBIs will be taught by classroom teachers for certain sessions and by trained outside instructors for others. Also, the sessions will vary in lengths and in time of day. Assumptions that are made by this study include that elementary school students will be willing and able to acknowledge their likes, dislikes, experiences, and preferences regarding MBIs. It is also assumed that elementary school students will be able to express their perspectives accurately and honestly in writing, verbal interviews, and drawings when given the instruments and instructions provided. This study will be utilizing qualitative data that is descriptive, narrative, and visual, unlike quantitative data, which is numerical. The data will include student journals and the transcripts of student interviews. The data that will be collected include student journals. Students are required to fill out semi-structured journal entries that include open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, and drawings. The journal entries must be completed immediately after each MBI session when the student reactions are still fresh in their minds. Some pre-existing instruments will be used for collecting data to capture the feelings of young students who cannot express themselves well in writing. Also, some self-created instruments will be used. There will be interview transcripts as students are required to meet for weekly focus groups. These will be semi-structured, in-depth interviews, and each participant will be given time to speak to ensure that all voices are heard and no few students are dominating the conversations. These interviews will be audio recorded and transcribed in full. Self-created instruments will be used since there's been very little research done on this exact topic. Data analysis will be an inductive process comprised of 3 steps: organization of the data, description of coded themes, and interpretation of those themes. Thematic analysis will be utilized as outlined by Braun and Clark. The information from the journals and the interview transcripts will be collated into a chart. The data will be read and reread as I use logic to look for patterns, themes, and categories that relate to the research questions. I will create codes to organize the data into a framework for key findings. If necessary, I will create a new cycle of data collection. I will use Excel software to assist in the data analysis. Further reflection on the categories will be done to make connections between the data and the research questions. And I will interpret the data to determine the results of the study, finally creating a cohesive narrative report of my findings. Some limitations that will be taken into consideration in this study is that students may feel pressure to please their teachers by responding positively to school activities. So that will be mitigated by explicitly encouraging students to reveal their honest opinions, assuring them that there are no wrong answers or reactions. Another possible limitation is that students may be influenced by the opinions of their peers during the focus groups. So students will be explicitly instructed to express their own opinions regardless of what other students may say, and the focus group sizes will be limited. Lastly, some young students may not be able to express themselves clearly in written journals. Therefore, some pre-existing instruments will be used that are designed specifically to mitigate this limitation, including the use of drawings. Ethical issues are very important when it comes to studies, especially when the participants are minors. All types of educational research must address protection for participants from physical, emotional, and psychological harm at all times. They must always provide meaningful, voluntary, informed consent. And the studies must protect the right of participants to their privacy. I have consulted with school psychologists, administrators, and educators to determine that this study does not pose any risk of emotional, physical, or psychological harm to the participants. However, all physical activities will be described in detail on the permission forms in case any students have unusual physical limitations to consider. And all the activities will be described so that it can be determined that there are no conflicts of religion or cultural practices. Since all the participants will be minors, the consent will be garnered from their parents or guardians. The students and families will be assured that there will be no ill will towards students or families who do not participate in the study. Also, to protect privacy, I will be de-identifying audio tapes, journals, and transcripts. I will store the data, research data, on password-protected computers. I will limit access to the study data to only a few members of the study team. And finally, I will destroy audio tapes at the end of the study. Thank you so much for considering my proposal, and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.